Number 1. The Vision. Sharon Tate's eerie visions at Jay Sebring's house have long been a subject of fascination and speculation, often highlighted in discussions about her tragic death. The episode is one of those chilling anecdotes that blends Hollywood glamour with an unsettling brush with the paranormal. Sharon Tate was a rising star in Hollywood during the 1960s, known for her roles in films like Valley of the Dolls and The Fearless Vampire Killers. She was married to the acclaimed director Roman Polanski, and they were considered one of Hollywood's golden couples. Jay Sebring was a famous celebrity hairstylist and a close friend of Tate. Their relationship was intimate before her marriage to Polanski. Tate and Sebring had been romantically involved, and they maintained a close friendship afterward. The story of Sharon Tate's scary vision took place in the early 1960s when she was staying at Jay Sebring's house, which was previously owned by the famous Hollywood agent Paul Byrne. Byrne had a notorious history as he was found dead in the home under mysterious circumstances in 1932, an event that had already cast a shadow over the property. One night, while Sebring was away, Tate decided to stay at the house alone. She recounted the experience to friends later, describing a sequence of eerie events that left her deeply disturbed. According to her account, she woke in the middle of the night and felt an inexplicable sense of dread. As she looked around the room, she saw a figure that appeared to be an eerie, spectral form. Tate described the apparition as a ghastly figure, either of a man or a woman, bound to the staircase at the end of the hallway. This figure was believed by some to be the ghost of Paul Byrne, who had died under mysterious circumstances in the house. However, what Tate saw was even more chilling. She described seeing a person tied up with their throat slashed, which bore an uncanny resemblance to the manner in which she herself would be murdered several years later. Terrified, Tate fled the room, but couldn't shake the sense of foreboding that enveloped her. Some reports suggest that she even saw another figure, perhaps herself, or a premonition of her own fate, which added to the macabre nature of her vision. The visions that Sharon Tate experienced have been subject to various interpretations over the years. Some view it as a genuine supernatural encounter, particularly given the house's dark history and Byrne's untimely death. The fact that Tate's vision eerily foreshadowed the manner of her own death has only fueled this interpretation. Others suggest that the vision was a manifestation of Tate's subconscious fears and anxieties. As a young actress in the highly competitive and often predatory industry, Tate might have been under significant stress, which could have contributed to a vivid and disturbing dream state. The tragic and brutal murder of Sharon Tate by the Manson family in 1969 has cemented her vision as an eerie premonition in the annals of Hollywood lore. Tate, who was 8 months pregnant at the time, was killed alongside Jay Sebring and three others at her home in Benedict Canyon, a murder that shocked the world and symbolized the dark end of the 1960s peace and love era. The manner in which she was killed, her throat slashed, and multiple stab wounds, bears a haunting resemblance to the vision she had described. This correlation has led many to speculate that her vision was a prophetic warning, a glimpse into the tragic fate that awaited her. Sharon Tate's vision at Jay Sebring's house has been recounted in numerous books, documentaries, and articles exploring the darker side of Hollywood's history. It serves as a chilling reminder of the thin line between reality and the supernatural, particularly in a city known for its glamorous yet often tumultuous lifestyle. The story has been a point of reference in discussions about premonitions and psychic phenomena, especially given the high profile nature of Tate's life and death. It adds a layer of poignancy and eeriness to her legacy, marking her not only as a victim of a horrific crime, but also as someone who might have glimpsed her own tragic end long before it occurred. Whether viewed as a supernatural encounter, a psychological manifestation, or a coincidental yet chilling premonition, Sharon Tate's vision at Jay Sebring's house remains one of the most haunting stories in Hollywood history. It is a tale that intertwines the glamour of 1960s Hollywood with the darkness that sometimes lurks beneath the surface, leaving a lasting impact on those who hear it. Number 2. The Narrow Escape. On the balmy evening of August 8, 1969, Sharon Tate, a promising young actress, and her husband, acclaimed director Roman Polanski, planned to host an intimate gathering at their secluded home on Cielo Drive in Benedict Canyon, Los Angeles. Polanski was abroad working on a film, but Tate, who was 8 months pregnant, was looking forward to a night of relaxation with close friends. The tragic turn of events that night would become infamous, but a number of celebrities who were invited managed to narrowly escape the fate that befell the attendees. Several prominent figures in Hollywood were extended invitations to the gathering, but by sheer luck or last minute changes in plans, they did not attend. Those celebrities included Steve McQueen, Quincy Jones, Warren Beatty, and Peter Sellers. Their absence would later be seen as a twist of fate that saved their lives. Steve McQueen, the iconic actor known for his roles in Bullitt and The Great Escape, was a close friend of Jay Sebring, the renowned hairstylist who was a frequent visitor at the Polanski Tate residence. On the night of the party, McQueen had planned to join Sebring and other friends at the Tate home. However, McQueen had a chance encounter with a young woman earlier in the day, and the opportunity for a romantic rendezvous led him to change his plans at the last minute. Instead of heading to Cielo Drive, McQueen decided to spend the evening with his new acquaintance, a decision that inadvertently saved his life. Quincy Jones, the legendary music producer and composer, was also a close friend of Jay Sebring. He had been invited to join the gathering at Sharon Tate's home. On that fateful evening, Jones had a prior engagement and ultimately decided not to attend the party. His choice to honor his previous commitment kept him away from the horrific events that would unfold later that night. Warren Beatty, the actor and filmmaker known for his performance in Bonnie and Clyde and Shampoo, was another celebrity invited to the soiree. Beatty was a part of the same social circle as Tate and Sebring and was a frequent guest at their gatherings. However, on the night of the 8th, he had other plans and that prevented him from attending. Beatty's prior engagement turned out to be a stroke of fate, keeping him out of harm's way. Peter Sellers, the acclaimed British actor and comedian, had been working with Roman Polanski on a film project and had developed a friendship with Sharon Tate. Sellers had been invited to the gathering but had to decline due to a conflicting commitment. His absence that evening meant he avoided the tragic fate that awaited the attendees. The celebrities who were invited but did not attend the gathering learned of the massacre with shock and disbelief. Steve McQueen, Quincy Jones, Warren Beatty, and Peter Sellers each had their own reactions to the narrow escape from what could have been their last night. Steve McQueen was deeply affected by the news of the murders. The loss of his friend, Jay Sebring, was a heavy blow, and the realization that he could have been present haunted him. McQueen's already cautious nature turned into paranoia. He began carrying a weapon with him at all times, becoming hypervigilant about his safety. Quincy Jones reflected on the eerie twist of fate that had kept him from attending the gathering. He often spoke about the randomness of life and how a single decision could alter one's destiny. The loss of his friend left a lasting impact, and he carried the memory of that night as a somber reminder of life's fragility. Warren Beatty, known for his confident and charismatic demeanor, was shaken by the murders. He was acutely aware of how close he had come to being another victim of the Manson family rage. Beatty's brush with mortality added to his complex view of fame and the inherent dangers that sometimes accompany it. Peter Sellers, with his unique blend of humor and introspection, found himself grappling with the stark reality of his narrow escape. The brutal deaths of Sharon Tate and her friends left a profound impression on Sellers, who often pondered the randomness of fate and the precariousness of life. The night of August 8, 1969, remains one of Hollywood's darkest and most tragic chapters. The intended gathering at Sharon Tate's house, meant to be a joyous occasion, instead became the scene of unimaginable horror. The celebrities who were invited but did not attend were spared by chance and circumstance, their lives forever altered by the brutal events they narrowly escaped. Number 3. A Chance Encounter. In the late 1960s, the Hollywood Hills were home to some of the entertainment industry's brightest stars. Among these was Terry Melcher, a successful music producer and the son of actress Doris Day. He lived at the now infamous address of 10050 Cielo Drive, a luxurious and secluded home nestled in the Benedict Canyon. This serene location, however, would soon become the backdrop for one of Hollywood's darkest tales. It was an ordinary sunny day in the spring of 1969 when Charles Manson decided to visit Terry Melcher. Manson, an inspiring musician with dreams of stardom, had previously met Melcher and hoped the producer could help him secure a record deal. Melcher had shown some initial interest, but ultimately decided not to pursue Manson's music career further. Unaware of Manson's growing frustration and instability, Melcher had moved out of the Cielo Drive house, which was then leased to the director Roman Polanski and his wife, Sharon Tate. Manson, however, was not aware of this change. He believed Melcher still resided there, and driven by a mix of desperation and delusion, he went to the house, hoping for another chance to impress the producer. Manson approached the front door, his mind set on confronting Melcher. As he knocked, he was greeted not by the music producer, but by a beautiful young actress he had never met before, Sharon Tate. Tate, glowing with the expectancy of her first child and radiating the charm that had made her a rising star, was caught off guard by the scruffy, intense man standing at her doorstep. For a brief moment, their worlds collided. Manson, with his unkempt beard and piercing eyes, was an unsettling contrast to Tate's serene and elegant presence. She politely informed him that Terry Melcher no longer lived there, suggesting he might have the wrong address. Manson, taken aback, mumbled something incoherent before turning away, his chance to confront Melcher slipping away. Sharon Tate felt a shiver run down her spine as she watched Manson walk back down the driveway. She had no idea who he was, but his presence left her with an uneasy feeling she couldn't shake. She mentioned the encounter to her friends later, describing the man as strange and intimidating. Her friends assured her it was probably nothing, just a harmless encounter with a lost stranger. Manson, on the other hand, walked away from the house with a growing sense of anger and frustration. The rejection by Melcher, combined with his delusional worldview and grandiose dreams of musical success, fueled his resentment. The visit to Cielo Drive became another twisted thread in the fabric of his madness, further entangling his followers in his apocalyptic vision. Unbeknownst to Sharon Tate, her brief encounter with Charles Manson had woven a thread that would later lead to one of Hollywood's most tragic events. Manson's visit to the house that day was not the direct cause of the later horrors, but it did establish a connection in Manson's mind. He now associated the house with his failed dreams and rejection. On the night of August 8, 1969, Manson ordered his followers, Charles Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Linda Kasabian, to go to the house at 10050 Cielo Drive and kill everyone inside. Manson, in his twisted logic, thought the murders would help spark the chaos he envisioned. He also held a grudge against Melcher and saw the house as a symbol of the rejection he faced. That night, the house was occupied by Sharon Tate, Jay Sebring, Abigail Folger, Wojtek Frykowski, and Stephen Parent. The Manson family members carried out Manson's brutal orders with horrifying efficiency, murdering all 5 occupants in a savage attack that shocked the world and marked the end of the 1960s era of peace and love. The gruesome murders at Cielo Drive stunned Hollywood and the nation. The randomness of the attack added to the horror. Sharon Tate and her friends were innocent victims of a deranged cult leader's psychotic vision. Manson and his followers were eventually caught and brought to trial, where the full extent of their madness was revealed. Sharon Tate's brief encounter with Charles Manson that day in the spring of 1969 would forever be etched in the annals of Hollywood history as a haunting prelude to one of its darkest chapters. The serene actress, full of life and promise, had come face to face with a man who would become synonymous with evil, unknowingly standing on the precipice of a nightmare that would tragically end her life and the lives of those dear to her. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe, and as always, sleep well.